This is Jonathan Kirsting with Tech Vibe. This is your front row seat to all things technology innovation in the Pittsburgh region. And today on Tech Vibe, we're talking about how maps literally become machines in this day and age, and how Pittsburgh has become a launch pad for global innovation, and how one local engineer ended up leading up a worldwide firm. And today, my guest is Neil Churman, the CEO of Woolpert. And Neil, I'm so excited to talk to you today. You have this amazing story. You're doing some great work here with your team. I think so many listeners would not have any idea just who Woolpert is, but it's a force to be reckoned with. And I'm here to help you get the name out because I think there's some exciting stuff going on. So Neil, great having you here today. Before we jump into everything real fast, just a little bit about your background. You've got a really cool background from being an engineer to being the CEO of what I have to say is probably one of the most dynamic companies out there right now. The stuff that you guys are doing are bending my mind, and you got to tell our listeners how you're bending my mind. For lack of a better term.
Appreciate that setup. No, so I think my background, I'm from Western PA. I grew up in Latrobe out in Westmoreland County.
Nice.
Went to CMU. I worked here for a long time. I've been in our industry for my whole career, and I've really been focused over the course of that time on helping companies with strategic growth. How can we build a better company? How can we build a more tech-forward company? And I had an opportunity to come to Woolpert and really focus on our growth roadmap. And that coincided with, like many Pittsburghers, coming back to Pittsburgh.
I love that.
We've got a lot of boomerangs in the city, and I'm proud to be one of them. And, we came back about 4 years ago after you and I were talking about this earlier, being down in Texas for about 10 years. And coming back and helping build Woolpert here has been a big part of my mission. And what's really great, I think, about our company is we have extremely deep roots. The company's been around since 1911.
Well, that's what I discovered. When I was like, wait a second. When I was doing my research, I'm like 1911. I love the story of an industrial company that has just kept with the times and stayed ahead of the time.
This is a true story with the company.
Okay.
Actually, we're working on kind of the history of the company into a book right now.
I like the sounds of that.
So some folks have taken this on, and I was reading it over the holidays, kind of the first draft. But some of our earliest clients were the Wright Brothers.
My goodness.
Like we designed airfields for the Wright Brothers. And you think about our company now, we have a global aviation operation. We fly airplanes all the time. There's some real sort of poetry in that, I think, that we could start, help get planes literally off the ground that invented, right? And now taking that into our day-to-day business operations.
I'm a history nerd, and that's the type of stuff that just drives me crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just love hearing that.
It's really rewarding to me when I think about, to that deep roots thing. We have been around, and the company's founded in Dayton, Ohio, right? The original home of the Wright Brothers.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Before Kitty Hawk, North Carolina kind of gets more of the glory.
Exactly.
Right?
All the hard work really happened. All the research and R&D went in Dayton.
Dayton, right? And Dayton was a bit of an engineering hub at that kind of the turn of the century. But since that time, we've grown from a few employees to we're about 3,100 people all over the world now.
3,100 people.
But, that sort of lineage hasn't been lost. And I think what I'm excited about for me being here and what's awesome about Pittsburgh is that same deep history of sort of industrial importance in this country and what Pittsburgh has been to our country over a long period of time, going back to World War II, bridges, producing steel, all of those important things, and now pivoting into tech, robotics, right? All of the things that our economy has become. It's kind of a perfect coming together of Woolpert, its history, its capabilities, and what we have going on here in the city of Pittsburgh today.
Yeah. And if you think about it, back in 1911, back in the day, steel was high technology. That stuff, all the heavy industry that we think is now antiquated now or old school, that was the high tech of the day. So you just evolved as technology's evolved.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. And that to me, I think is just incredible. And so much of that work has been really leaning into the geospatial stuff and bringing that into the AI and automation, which is why Pittsburgh is probably so important for you, for Woolpert, because of the specialties that we have here and some of the acquisitions that you've made here for companies that have really, I think, tell me more about that and how you're evolving into the world of AI and everything. Because that to me, obviously everyone's talking about that, but the idea of how you're leveraging, I think, is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm proud to say, first off, our global AI and technology hub is here. We put it here in Pittsburgh, and that was intentional. And it was partially because there was awesome, amazing talent here for that in Pittsburgh. And we've got folks from Pitt and CMU and Allegheny College and some other places here locally that have really great expertise to do that. And I think the other piece of it is, beyond the great schools and education system that we have to do the pipeline, is hands-on applications of technologies that we use that really grew up here in Pittsburgh. So take all of the driverless vehicle technology, all the Waymos, all the driverless cars, they're running on Lidar in part, which is a technology that we use commonly for our geospatial applications.
Exactly.
Super smart folks that know how to use Lidar, and they also know how to use AI. And as we were bringing some of this team onto the company, I talked about it with our leadership team and our board to say, draw a Venn diagram. There's people that really, really know AI and people that really, really know Lidar and geospatial tech. And the overlap is pretty small. And it's these people, among a few other people in the world, right? So being able to come here and get folks that have expertise that is aligned with what we do on a day-to-day, it's a pretty special thing to have that. And to have it here in Pittsburgh, I think, is even more exciting.
Well, I think about the work that you've done with All Vision and so forth. I mean, they're one of the pioneers of that here in Pittsburgh. And the fact that they're under your wing is just fantastic with Aaron Morris and stuff like that. I mean, that just to me is like, shows you, man, you guys are hitting hard here on this stuff. I love that.
It has been an awesome thing to bring that team here to Woolpert. Aaron is fantastic. We actually made Aaron our global AI director here recently, so big news for him.
Nice.
And he's going to be leading out on AI applications across 3,100 people in 6 continents. I mean, it's really pretty exciting, right, for what he's doing and what Aaron and that team have brought to the table. Ryan Friends and others there, all this expertise they built over a long period of time, and being able to then apply that to what we're doing on a global basis. So what I think was pretty cool about that is the All Vision team, before they joined Woolpert, they were focused on mobile mapping applications. So you're driving a car down the street, that technology is picking up street signs or curbs and gutters. It's picking up maybe a traffic light, things like that. And we kind of said, hey, do you think you could do that from an airplane? And do you think you could not just do it for a street, but you could do it for an entire state or an entire country?
Oh, my goodness.
So what's really cool about that, though,
yes.
we have a data repository for doing this we've had a geospatial business for over 50 years in the company.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's not a lot of people that can say they've been doing geospatial for 5 years, let alone 50 years,
exactly.
right?
And I think about the data that you have and the expertise that you have.
Massive repository of data, some folks that are world-class experts in what they do, PhDs, right? And then you take that and you layer this tech on top of that. That's a pretty powerful thing, and we're starting to really see some awesome results coming out of that effort. So it's exciting for us.
I mean, so much of this, it's so like up in the air to me just because it's such big tech. But I love bringing this down as an example just so we can just really show our listeners like how this actually comes to work. And I know you guys do a lot of work in the Marcellus and that through the Appalachians, of course, where that's located, and the idea of being able to keep pipelines safe. Walk me through an example as to how people use your technology to do stuff that you just wouldn't realize because it's just not the apparent thing you would think about.
Yeah, there's a lot of different applications for LiDAR tech and zooming out, right? What we'll do basically for folks that aren't familiar, we have a sensor. That sensor's on an airplane. We're flying that airplane at 10,000 feet maybe, right? Pretty high. And it's picking up mapping information of the things that are on the ground below. The challenge is inherently in the tech, it can't tell you what that is. It can't tell you if it's a tree or if it's a power line or, we have to do some work to clean that data and make that data usable for whatever the application.
Truly.
So we do that. We've done it for the United States Geological Survey for a long time, NOAA, other big federal agencies, among other things. So it could be just making a map of the state for different uses or purposes. But in this one, actually pretty cool example we're doing here locally, we've been flying over the Appalachia region, so Western PA, Eastern Ohio, West Virginia, where there's a lot of pipelines that run through that area. And it's also an area that is highly susceptible to landslides. That is our geology here in this part of the world.
The rocks like to slide, man. Simple as that.
A little bit of rain and, you could have a big problem, right? So you're running critical infrastructure through a region that's susceptible to this. And what we've been doing for some of our clients is we're flying over that region with very high fidelity LiDAR. We're picking up data on a very, very precise level. So I'm talking millimeters type of tolerance, right? And we can then take that data, process it using AI and using other software tools. And then what we can do is look at movement or change in the ground over a period of time and determine if there's landslide risk or susceptibility. And then we go back to our clients and say, hey, here's some hot spots, here's some areas you need to check out. And then we'll have the field crew go out, put eyes on it, and take some photos and just what's going on. And the whole point of this is moving from reactive to proactive.
Love that.
And making sure that, these are things that run our society in many ways, right? You're trying to heat your home,
100%.
trying to generate power. All of these things that are so critical and important to our way of life. You don't want these things to go down because we got a little rain and the ground slid, right? So,
And just from a safety standpoint, from an environmental standpoint, knowing that like we can actually use this energy safely, transport it safely, because you're able to find things that might hurt this pipeline, and you're using Lidar to do that, and being able to use like this AI and the data and say, this might be an area susceptible. We see changes here, and based on our data, this could actually go. So you be proactive.
It's much more, and
shore
it's much more efficient.
Shore up those rocks around there.
Yeah, and it's much more safe and efficient than sending a person out to walk miles and miles and miles along the pipeline, because there's risk in that, and that's, you're out in some remote areas.
Well, I just think about how fast you can do that compared to if you actually have a human surveyor go out there.
100%.
I mean, you can just cover so much more area by factors, probably thousands, I would have to assume.
It is amazing to me when our team is talking in, thousands of square miles. Right?
Exactly.
Kind of the scale on which we're doing some of this mapping work. It's
exactly.
pretty cool.
And this all goes back to 1911 at one point or another.
At one point or another.
I just like bringing that up because I'm always like, back when they actually scoped out an airfield for the Wright Brothers. I'm a history nerd. I can't help myself. I love talking about that stuff. I mean, and so the idea of like you come into Pittsburgh, I think is so cool. I love the fact that like when you tell me that like you're the innovation center here, and the CEO is like living here, like Pittsburgh's important to Woolpert. And I'm talking about 300 people around the world living here, the problems they're solving, but Pittsburgh is where the innovation happens. That to me is very exciting. And obviously some of your first moves were like bringing All Vision like under your wing. And then also, I think with the Daywood acquisition, I mean, that's your next move that I thought was really interesting. Can you tell me about that? And what you look for when you are acquiring? Because I mean, the idea that you're bringing these things in and you're putting these building blocks together to make something really kind of big and powerful, but you got to choose the right blocks.
Totally. And I'll back up and talk about what we're looking for.
Sure.
And then I'll talk about the Dogwood team, which is a great addition to our team. For me, so I've been working on mergers and acquisitions for, 20 years at this point.
Okay.
I've done a lot of them. Good number at Woolpert, a good number prior to joining Woolpert. And it's always been around people, right? The
Interesting.
M&A that I've always been involved in has been with people-centric companies.
Okay.
We focus on culture in a big way when we're doing M&A. It's often overlooked.
That's so interesting when you say that, because I think of M&A, it's always about the numbers and the stuff. But in culture, it's that thing where it's hard to...
It's nebulous.
Yeah, it's so
and
nebulous.
It's hard to put your finger up. But
that's so interesting to me that that's how you're really guiding your M&A. So keep going. Yeah,
don't get me wrong. There's still spreadsheets.
Of course.
Right?
Absolutely.
And there's still,
we think they're nice people. We'll take you on.
Right. But, to me, if you don't get that right, it's
exactly.
going to fail.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about defining culture, we often come back to what are your values? What do you value as a company? What do individuals within your company value personally? And how does that align with our worldview? And we're never going to come up with a company that says, we have 5 core values. And as it turns out, they're exactly the same, right, as what Woolpert's. Right. But, we have 6 core values at Woolpert. The first one, though, and it's intentional that it's the first one, is supportive. We really want a supportive culture. Help your neighbor. Help each other out.
Okay.
We're in this together, right?
I can get along with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be supportive. Sounds basic, right? But be supportive. When we're out there talking to companies that we think might make sense to be part of our team, we always are asking them about how do you interact with each other and how do you support each other? How do you work together collectively as a team? And what is your interest or your ambition in being part of something global, being part of something where we can collaborate as colleagues, right, across continents and countries? And the companies that work best for us are the folks that get excited by that proposition. Right?
Okay.
And they also want to be balanced across what we do as business. We always talk about balancing the business on 3 pillars. We want to be high performing, which part of that is being financially successful, because
100%.
that's the engine that allows us to keep doing this. We want to be industry leaders. So if we're going to do something, let's be good at it. Let's not be one of 50 companies that does something. Let's be special, right? So we're focused on that. And then we want to be an employer of choice. And so one of the most validating things, so Woolpert's, we're a certified great place to work. We've been doing this for 9 years now that we've been certified every time we do it. So what that means, it's a third-party cert. But basically what
that's so important. So important with to have that culture set like that.
we're getting 85 out of 100 employees on average saying, yes, this is emphatically a great place to work, right? And they're also giving us feedback on things that we then go back and, focus on making positive change in the business in response to what people are asked about. So where I'm going with that on the M&A side is when we're meeting other companies, we start talking about these, and then the ones that work out, the ones that come aboard, they have their own versions or flavors of these concepts. They might do it a little
total
differently.
sense, right?
So the segue to the Dawood engineering acquisition that you mentioned. So this was an acquisition we made in the summertime about 6 months ago. Really great team, headquartered here in Pennsylvania, based in Harrisburg. They've got presence in Pittsburgh. They've got presence in just outside Philly. And then they also had some presence outside Boston and then Poland. And they had a team building digital twins in Poland.
Okay, man, that's what I'm talking about.
So when you think about what fits, right, not just from a culture standpoint, but from a strategic standpoint, we can do Poland. We've got presence in Europe.
We can do Poland.
And actually, as it turns out, the person that leads Poland used to work for our team in Ireland.
Oh, my
and they know each
goodness.
other, right?
Oh,
I mean, it's
goodness.
small world stuff, right?
Yeah.
So being able to put that together and bring that together. But Dawood had 26 principles, right, that they had in their business, kind of our version of 6 core values.
Surely.
And we started looking at them and lining them up, and they lined up pretty good, right? And then on top of that, I think we have a lot of folks there that were sort of excited and inspired by taking all their expertise and all their experience to the table and meshing it up with our on some bigger and exciting things. So that's led us to here in Pittsburgh. We've probably gone from, when I first joined the company, it was me and a couple of field crews out in this part of the state, and now we're about 50 people in Pittsburgh.
That's what I want to hear.
Pretty exciting.
I know.
And we're looking forward to continuing to build on that. I really want to see us grow here.
I was really stoked this past summer when you announced the Dawood acquisition. I was like, man, once again, you're putting these key blocks in place that I'm just like, wow. And it really solidifies Pittsburgh as the innovation hub for you guys as well, too, which I really love. So
it's good to be building it. And funny, the timing on that, too, we were finishing up that deal right around the same time that Senator McCormick put on the
data
infrastructure summit, right? And, we had talked about being committed to our growth in Pennsylvania. It was very nice to, follow through on
get a little backup on that.
While
100%.
at a time in which we, as a region here, we're stressing the importance of the energy, the innovation, and the AI economy that we're building here in Western PA. And we're just excited to be a part of it.
Well, let's dig more into that, because at the Tech Council, we are just super excited about the opportunities for our membership here and for the region when it comes to building data centers, building the energy sources to fuel these data centers, the infrastructure for this. And it doesn't just help the Pittsburgh data center, but also helps data centers elsewhere, because the power has to come from someplace. And so we have our data center summit coming up, and I know you guys are leaning so heavy into this. Give me a little overview as to where Woolpert's playing in this field right now.
Yeah, we have transformed into, we're one of the top data center design companies in the world. We're a top 5.
Really? Okay. See, I didn't realize, like, in the ranking standpoint, like, you guys are up there like that.
Amazing. So we've had 2 awesome companies join us. We had a company called Sheehan Nagel Hartray Architects in Chicago, and they also had great presence in London. They were kind of the top pure play designer of data centers here in the US and in Europe. And then we had another really cool company called Greenbox out of Sydney, Australia, that joined us last year. We put those teams together to kind of form our global data center business. So now we've got data center design happening from some key hubs in Chicago, London, Johannesburg, and Sydney. And we're working for, you name it.
I was going to say.
All the hyperscalers, all the top co-locators, the ones that are really prominent, right? We're doing work for, our fair share, if not all of these folks. And for us, our focus on, in data centers, I think folks from the standpoint of what is the impact of these things going to be, there's a lot of questions around, right? And what does it mean to energy? What does it mean to water? What does it mean to
all of it,
to our community, right? And from our end, we've been doing this for a long time, and there is a right way to do it. I was in one of our data centers in Sydney, Australia. It was in an urban area.
Amazing.
It's 8 stories tall.
Oh my God. Whoa, back up. I've never heard of an 8-story. I'm always thinking that they go wide, not tall, right?
No, we do these things in all different formats, and you do it in the right setting. And if you weren't inside it looking at a server rack,
you'd have no idea. Exactly.
No idea, right? And that's because, back to the doing it the right way thing, power is appropriately supplied and managed. cooling and water is appropriately supplied and managed, noise is abated at an appropriate level, right? These are not facilities that you would look at them and feel like they are a problem.
Yeah, they're like a sore thumb sticking out, causing a problem in this area.
That's a very good way to put it, right? These are facilities, if they're done properly, not only in Ashburn, Virginia is a good example of this, right? There's a big nexus of data centers in Ashburn. And it's really been a good thing there from the perspective that it's created economic value in that region, not just job creation, but also taxes and, other economic opportunity that it creates.
100%.
And they've kind of really leaned into that. I think from a Pittsburgh standpoint, we're pretty uniquely and well positioned to be a part of this here. Come back to the themes around that Energy and Innovation Summit. We have gas, which we can then turn into power. We have Westinghouse here, who has more expertise in nuclear.
Heard about those guys. Yeah,
right?
exactly right.
Little company, yeah. And on top of that, we have a multitude of former industrial sites that have the potential to be purposefully
They got the
reused,
pipes ready to go.
right?
Yeah. Well, I guess the Pittsburgh region has been ranked a fastest speed to market to put a data center up. That everything is there. If you need to get one, it doesn't take 10 years to have it happen here, apparently. So it's kind of like a lot of things working in our favor here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I see that's really important is, back to the do it right, is to make sure that you've got alignment from all the stakeholders that are going to be involved.
That seems to be so much that exactly everyone getting aligned early on because,
and that includes transparency with the communities.
100%.
Like what would not be good. And look, I live here, right? Just like the rest of us.
Exactly.
What is this thing that's going on in my backyard, and why haven't I had a chance to be engaged? And then you've seen some of this going on here locally. And I think what I'm very encouraged by is the opportunity to do this in a really constructed and symbiotic way.
That's the vibe I'm getting
from stakeholders
that
are going to be affected or engaged, right?
That's the vibe I'm getting. Everyone out here, I don't think anyone's out here is looking to destroy their communities and their environment to make a fast buck on a data center.
Right.
I'm sure people can do that and have tried that through a multitude of industries. But here, I do feel like everyone I've talked to is they really want to make sure that these things work properly and they're not killing people around them and the communities around them. That's not what they're here for. You're just reassuring me more as you bring this approach. And I just think about all the expertise that Woolpert would bring to putting a data center together. I think of how complicated that is and all the different things that have to come together to make that happen. And I think about what your bench has. You got all the tools, for lack of a better term, to make these things happen.
We have some very, very, very talented architects, engineers, geospatial professionals, water reuse and water management professionals, folks that kind of see all sides of these things. And what I'm amazed with is not only the core expertise they have, but then back to the applying technology thing.
Right.
We've been leveraging software and some AI tech to help do these things faster and better. And it's really to the benefit of our clients, but it's also to the benefit of the community because they're going to get a better product at the end of it with a longer useful life and with, some of those things that you want to mitigate against, right? This thing's using water to a degree that, we wouldn't want it to do, or it's using power. We can do the power more efficiently. We can store the power in a more efficient way. All of these types of things to make these things sort of as clean and efficient and basically being good neighbors, right? And good community members as we possibly can.
I love hearing that. That to me is very exciting. And I just feel like I'm just excited for your company because I feel like you're hitting on so many things. And the fact that you're here, you're growing, you're acquiring, you're building, it's just so exciting. I'm thinking as CEO, you have to be just so excited to get to work every morning because there's always a new challenge to solve. Honestly, I don't know. You must have an extra hour in your day or something because I can't imagine trying to keep track of everything that you got to be tracking. You're making me exhausted just looking at you, Neil.
If somebody can figure out how to get me an extra hour, that would be
worth something, wouldn't it?
I have a 3 and a 4-year-old at home.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, it's busy, but to your point, it's exciting. I really am genuinely excited to come to work every day. And the thing that gets me most excited, you're talking about all those people doing data centers, beyond that at our company is I'm sincerely in awe of some of the things that people at our company are doing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Surely. We have super smart, super passionate people that work with us. And I get to be a fly on the wall and see them
watch them do what they do. Absolutely.
Exactly. To me, that is the most rewarding and exciting part is to just see people one, do amazing projects that are kind of the backbone of our economy and our society and our infrastructure, these important work that we're doing. And secondly, creating an environment for those people in which they can thrive. And in a lot of cases, people ask me sometimes, what is the most rewarding part of your job as CEO? And for me, I think the thing that I get most excited about is when I see someone in our company who significantly exceeds their own expectations.
Okay.
I didn't know I could do this.
Yeah.
You opened the door for me to walk through it, or you helped me, encourage me along a career track that I didn't know that was there.
Okay.
That is really, really rewarding.
How much fun is that? Yeah.
It's
To be able to watch other people succeed and create that environment where they can, and that just helps the company, obviously. And to me, it's just amazing to see that come together. What's some other, I'm just curious. It's always interesting to me, like you got this engineering background. I can see the engineering side of you. The gears are turning back there. But as CEO, like that journey, like how's that inform how you are as a CEO? Do you analyze things differently? I'm just curious how that works when you bring an engineering background to a business position.
What I think I've benefited from,
Yeah.
and a lot of people, when I talk to some of my other CEO colleagues who do this, right? We all kind of often get to, I was lucky, I got in the right place at the right time. I learned some things along the way that really helped.
Sure.
Right? I think everyone has a little bit of that story. Like, of course, you don't go to CEO school. It doesn't exist, right? But I
tried applying that. I
right,
couldn't find where to go.
Well, and all of that's true for me, right? I mean, I think a lot of it for me has been exposure to a broad variety of experiences over the course of my career.
Okay, cool.
I came out of school as an engineer. I worked for Michael Baker here in town. I got some great exposure to a lot of things while I was there on the technical side of our business, but then also the business side of our business. And I went to business school at Carnegie Mellon, graduate school, got some great experience there at Tepper. But for me, it's kind of, if you can be broad in your worldview and you can be intellectually curious, which to me, for myself and for our team, I think is an incredibly important thing. If you pick a lane and you want to live in that lane, and I think there's a lot of value in that for a lot of folks, but I also think if you're going to help, from my seat, drive our company forward, you have to have a multitude of perspectives. You need to know a little bit about a lot of things. You got to rely on other people to be expert in those things.
But have that appreciation of it, being able to recognize it and say, I know a little bit about this, but I know this other person that's the expert in it. And that helps you kind of be the glue and the connector that allows you to set those instances up for people to become successful.
Before I know nothing about this, tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
Exactly. More, right? To me, that's so important. So
right.
I kind of remind myself every day, I don't have all the answers. I definitely do not, right? There's a lot of people around me that I surround myself with at our company who do have the answers, right? And my job is to really kind of make sure that we are bringing the right people with the right expertise and the right level of passion and care and good intent and core values together to help get stuff done, right? My job, you said it well, connector. A lot of my job is connecting. And a lot of my job has become doing things in a balanced or holistic way. Wow. Back to that point on, we got to make money because it helps us do this for the long haul. We've got to be good at what we do, and we've got to be good to our people. If one of those things gets out of whack, then we can't play this game.
That's a good three-legged stool right there. I think that gives a really solid foundation, and it's simple too.
Yeah.
It's not overly complicated, like enough to where these three very things that on their own seem like, of course, but you put those together, I think you get something kind of special going on.
You got to look at all of it in concert, definitely.
Wow.
And I think we've done a good job of that historically.
Yeah. So I can tell you love what you do. The passion comes through. I'm always curious whenever I get the opportunity to talk to folks that are in the positions that you're in and the conversations you get to have, the things you get to see that we don't all get to see. What's getting you really excited out there tech-wise right now? Any trends out there that you're seeing that are kind of getting you like, wow, I can't wait for another couple years when this really matures over? I'm always curious.
Yeah, I think, let me talk inside baseball in the company, and then,
surely,
and then
of course,
I'll go broad.
Especially inside the company. I wanted to.
we are doing some really, really exciting things on the nexus between hardware and software around geospatial applications.
Okay. Okay.
So we've got some really cool Lidar tech that we're deploying. We have a team down in Stennis, Mississippi that is working on this for us.
You guys are everywhere. You
they've
bring
got
up
these-
Poland, Stennis, Mississippi.
all over the place these days. But we've got a team that's working on this, and they work closely with our team here in Pittsburgh, right, who's more on the AI and software side of this. But
Well, they are the innovation hub.
correct, right? But putting, kind of best-in-class hardware tech with best-in-class software tech, I think there's a multiplier effect that can come from that. And I think
Believe
there's
it.
a really good opportunity for us to serve our clients better and more efficiently and more effectively. And when you think about some of the core, I'll say responsibilities, right, of the work that we're doing things like focusing on how can we prevent damage from the next hurricane? How can we ensure that if there is disruption to a port, that port traffic can get through for whatever reason it may be? To the earlier example on, pipeline landslide susceptibility, all the way down to if there's a flood, where's the water going to go? Right. These are the kind
Right.
of problems
Yeah.
that things are solving.
Exactly.
We are, as a country and as a government, limited in our means to budget for these kind of things. And we're here to try to help folks do more with less faster. So to me, that's exciting for the company and success of the company. But I also think it's exciting to me for the prospect of what it can mean for us as, members of this society and as residents of this country and global citizens. The opportunity to help the world in that way, I think, is pretty cool and important. I think deploying AI tools into what we do, I talk about this a lot with the company. AI is not going to replace what anybody does in our business, because in our business, we need subject matter experts that are highly skilled in what they do.
Right.
What AI is doing for them, and he's going to continue to do for them, is one, help them be more effective at their job more efficiently, make their day-to-day a little easier and more pleasant. And I really believe that. And third, it's going to help us get smarter. It's going to help us see stuff
100%. Oh, yeah.
that you're not going to see. And so we're deploying some things like that in the company right now over some data sets that we have. And what I really am encouraged by is it's actually making our employees better at the manual aspects of their jobs because they now have a new tool in the toolbox, right? And to me, that's the exciting opportunity that we can do more as a company with the great team that we have.
That to me is just, like I said, when I hear people talk about AI like that to me is what I've experienced just myself in my own little level of how I use it to do what I do. I think about using it at the level that you guys would be using it at. And to me, it's just, we're breaking into a whole new world at this point, and all the opportunities as that comes around, just improve things, make the world better for people.
And that makes
technology forward.
I mean, this may be the route to that extra day you were asking, or extra
Well,
hour of the day you were asking about
exactly.
earlier, right, for all of us.
You're reading my mind that this is literally can create that extra hour.
And I encourage our folks, if you get that hour back because you use the tool to do it, use it to catch up on something you need to catch up on, or better yet, go take some time, with the family and come back
100%.
refreshed and feeling good tomorrow, right? I mean, I think we have
Exactly.
to come back to doing all this stuff in balance.
Good stuff, man. What a fascinating conversation. Before I let you go, I'm just always curious, what keeps you up at night? I mean, obviously you're balancing so many things. I mean, anything out there that really makes you be like, oh man, I just want to do this better, or I just want to attack this next thing? Like,
Yeah, I think for me, what keeps me up, but first off, the good thing about sometimes you get that keeps you up at night, and it's what's the risk, what's the bad thing, what's the thing that you're afraid of. And I
Right.
think for our business,
okay,
it's really not that, right? I
what
think
can we do next?
it's more that. It's
Yeah.
more I
That's what I was thinking.
I need to wake up and get the notebook out before I forget this idea, right, that I've been dreaming about. But
So cool.
I think the thing that we're super excited about is one, we have grown pretty rapidly over the last 5, 6, 7 years here, and we've built these great global teams. And I talk a lot in the company about collaboration and connectivity. We have to now bring our company together in a more tight-knit and more collaborative way across all these time zones and all these continents.
Yeah.
We've got folks in London and Dublin, in
Mississippi.
Germany, Mississippi, India, South Africa, Australia, like they're all over the world. And we've got super smart folks in all of those places. They need to get to know each other, and we need to build better collaboration tools for all of them. And I think if you do that, and like what I'm excited about with that is there's parts of the world where they're more advanced than we are here in the US on certain aspects
Surely.
of what we do, and vice versa. And if we can take those things and bring the best of, to whatever the problem is that we're trying to solve.
Just build it bigger and better, man. Just build it up.
That's the exciting opportunity, right? And if we can do that, that's the part that I just say, if I could figure that all out tomorrow,
Exactly.
it would just turbocharge the whole thing. And it'd be really good for everybody at the company and really good for our clients.
Yeah.
The challenge is, we're all still people, and you got to work through the people side of it. But I think, for the most part, we're making great strides in that. And we've got great global leaders across the company, and we're looking to them to help continue to forge that and foster that. And it's working great.
It's an exciting story.
Definitely.
To bring this thing full circle, so it's Latrobe, not Latrobe.
I love that you asked me that question. It's Latrobe if you live there.
So there you go. I like this.
If I were in Latrobe, I'd probably say Latrobe, but I temper it when I'm outside Westmoreland County.
I just want to make sure, because it's a thing I've never been able to fully figure out, but I think now you fully explain that to me, Neil. Very
I don't
cool.
know that I'm the expert. I don't know that I'm the official author of the Wikipedia article, but
remember, you can edit in Wikipedia, so you can go
true.
there.
It's Latrobe if you live there. But yes, proud to be from there. Proud graduate of Latrobe High School. And, my folks still live out that way. But
awesome.
It's really, to me, I think it's a special thing to be here in Western Pennsylvania. And I think it's a special thing to be a part of what we have built as an economy in the region, as a culture here, and from a company to be a part of that. And I think sometimes I was talking with somebody about this recently, like my mom brought me this really cool gift a couple of weeks ago, and it was this framed photograph of my great-grandfather who worked in the McKeesport mill for U.S.
Nice.
And he was receiving an award for working in the steel mill for 54 years.
What?
Like a retirement gift.
That's awesome.
And so he's receiving this award, and there's a newspaper article about him and his brother's old mill. And you think about we're sitting here talking about AI, and we're talking about tech forward things. We're talking about innovation culture, but like everything that we're talking about is built on the backs of those folks.
Very good point.
And this whole region is built on the backs of those folks. And I think keeping that in mind, like for me personally, so that hangs in my office because I want to see that every day.
I would totally hang that in my office.
But I also think for all of us here in the region, like we remind ourselves on the one hand, we are among the most progressive, the most innovative, the most tech forward places in the country and the world, right? And I think when people think about Pittsburgh, they need to be thinking about it in the same conversation as Silicon Valley and Austin and Boston and some of these other places that these innovations are happening. But on the other hand, if it weren't for those folks, the folks that went into the mill every day, couldn't do it, we wouldn't be here. And we can't forget that. And then we have to take the best of that part of our lineage as a region, as a city, as a culture, and marry it up with all this innovative stuff. And I think if we do that, we're going to come up with something sustainable, right? As something we can do.
It gives it foundation, man. It's like bedrock.
Yes.
In so many ways. And I'm so glad you're back here doing what you're doing, because you're building that next layer, right? You're building on the work of that our forefathers did, that your great-grandfather did, and everything like that. So that to me is pretty cool, man.
Could not be more proud to be from Pittsburgh, and could not be more proud to be a Pittsburgher and be here, right? And doing this here. Our commitment to the region is to continue to grow. We want to create great jobs here, and we're going to keep doing it. In fact, shameless plug, we have some job openings right now. We're looking for some software engineers.
All right.
Please check out the careers part of our website. But to me, the whole thing is really exciting, and appreciate you having me here today, and appreciate engaging with PTC.
Oh, no, great stuff. We're so glad you're back here doing what you're doing. This is one of the key pieces that's making Pittsburgh move forward. Can't thank you enough for hanging out with me here on Tech 5. In case you forgot, this is Jonathan Gersting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council. You're the best, Neil. Thank you much.
Thank you.